We head to Yankee Stadium for this preview. It is undefeated Army versus one-loss Notre Dame. And here to break down one of the biggest games of the weekend that everybody's looking forward to, we've got Tim Priester from Irish Illustrated, and 24/7 Sports national college football analyst Smoke Dixon is going to give us the Army perspective on this. And it's the 52nd meeting in this series with an overwhelming Notre Dame lead in the overall. The Fighting Irish have won 15 straight, with the last loss coming in 1958, while Army is seeking its first AP top 10 ranked win since 1963. And guys, you know it's been a while when I'm talking about 1958 and 1963, but this is probably Army's best chance at a win in a long time. So let's talk about these matchups, starting with Notre Dame's offense versus Army's defense. Definitely a tough challenge for Army trying to contain Riley Leonard, especially how he's been playing lately. So, Tim, how is he going to make life difficult for the Black Knights D?
Well, I think in order for Notre Dame to be effective in the red zone, you have to have a running quarterback, especially against a defense like Army's. And Notre Dame has that in Riley Leonard. Notre Dame's offense started out very slowly when the season began, but they've really turned it on. Struggled a little bit against Virginia last week, but they've really turned it on. So, Riley Leonard, the running component, he has definitely thrown the football much better with each passing week. And when Notre Dame can run it and throw it, they're pretty dangerous offense.
Well, Tim, Emily, when you look at Army's defense with Nate Woody coordinating it and Daryl Dixon coordinating the back end of it, they're going to show you pictures that aren't realistic. What I mean by that is schematically, they play with an odd front, but they move a lot. And unlike most Army teams that you've seen, they're stout at the point of attack. That means they have gap integrity and also play with great discipline with leverage of the football for run quarterbacks like to run the ball. And when you try to pass the ball, they do an outstanding job of playing underneath zone coverage, closing windows, and when they put the ball in the air, they're ninth in the country with 14th in interceptions. They have 5 defenders with 2 interceptions apiece. So there goes your matchup, and it'll be a fun one.
Something to keep an eye on there. Speaking of matchups, on the other side of things, we've got the Army offense versus the Notre Dame defense. And I think we're contractually obligated to mention triple option anytime we talk about this Army offense. I'm going to throw it out there. Smoke, how does Army, and what are they doing maybe this year in particular that has made that triple option so successful?
But unlike most years, they're stout up front. They're huge. And when you look at Army offensive linemen in the past year, and Cody Worley, offensive coordinator, doing an outstanding job of doing different personnels, different looks, different formations, with Bryson Daly being the trigger man at quarterback and operating. He's so smooth, so efficient, and when it's time to pass the ball, he does an outstanding job of getting the ball to Mr. Reynolds. This is averaging 27 yards per reception.
Well, there's no doubt that this challenge for Notre Dame's defense is a lot different than what Notre Dame is accustomed to. They're used to having the advantage in the trenches. And, and make no mistake, Notre Dame is still a very, very physical football team on both sides of the football. But this is a different equation for Notre Dame. They've had a ton of experience against triple option offense because they play Navy every year. Not saying that Army runs what Navy does. Marcus Freeman said it the other day. This is not Navy 2.0. This is a little bit more traditional triple option football, but it is a significant challenge for Notre Dame's defensive front. One hindrance probably still will be Notre Dame without Howard Cross III. They didn't have him last week. He's listed as questionable, but I think Notre Dame would like to preserve him if they can for USC, but I'm not sure that they're in a position to do that. So this is a significant challenge for Notre Dame. Notre Dame's defense generally, they've had slow starts. The first series of the opponent has been challenging for them, and that's when old Al Golden kicks in on the defensive side for Notre Dame. But a massive challenge because Bryson Daly is a 220-pound, fast, strong football player, and then Kane Udo is successful as well. Yeah, I think it's really important that Notre Dame keeps them one-dimensional and taps into their physicality, which is it's going to be a challenge against Army.
Yeah, usually when you see matchups like this, it's a talent difference and a size difference. But from what both of you are saying, it sounds like Army can hold their own in terms of size. Meanwhile, both of these teams anticipate having an active postseason, right? Army already clinched a spot in the American Championship. They still have some playoff dreams, though. Notre Dame, of course, all eyes on that playoff. So let's start with Smoke. What's at stake for Army in this game?
Well, coming out with a big win, you're going to put yourself in position to be a prime contender to be one of the 12 teams in the third playoffs. So this is win or go home for Army once we're talking about the playoff situations.
And on the Notre Dame side, I mean, from the beginning of the year through the summer going into this year, everybody knew it was with the expanded playoff format to 12 teams, it was playoff or bust for Notre Dame. I'm not sure how much interest there's going to be in bowl games beyond the 12 playoff participants. So it's playoff or bust for Notre Dame. The Northern Illinois loss, ended Notre Dame's chances or so we think, but it certainly looks like their chances of making the playoffs with the second loss are extinct. So playoff or bust for Notre Dame. They've known that since the second week of the season. They've won 8 in a row, and they've done it in very convincing fashion. They continue to move up the polls. They're feeling very, very good about themselves with this real challenge against Army coming up this weekend.
I think it's safe to say that this is the toughest game they have left on their schedule, and that's not necessarily something we might have said back in August, but these things change. We simulated this game 20 times on EA College Football 25, the video game, and this is going to surprise you guys a little bit. Army won this game 13 of the 20 times. So for each team, let's start with those virtual victors here, Smoke. Video game aside, what's the key to pulling out a win in this real football game?
Well, the key for Army to pull out this win, they have to be able to create a turnover or two. Because when you're playing against a triple option offense, they're going to limit you only to maybe the 8 to 10 possessions for the entire game. They're only averaging playing 60 plays on defense. So if they can get their offense back 1 or 2 more possessions in terms of turnovers, that's where you can see the tide turn. And when they get in the red zone, they're a top 5 red zone scoring team as well, too.
It was incredible. Last week, Notre Dame and Virginia each had, I don't know that I've ever seen this, 10 possessions each in the first half. Notre Dame probably is not going to get 10 possessions in the entire game. So they have to maximize them. That's always the case whenever Notre Dame plays Army and Navy. And so that will be the case. Forcing turnovers is difficult against Army. They've only turned over 3 times. Notre Dame has been living off of turnovers. They did it against Navy. Navy was handing them the football. I wouldn't anticipate that Army is going to do that because they're so efficient. So those are a couple things. And then again, this is a red zone game. Both teams are good in the red zone. Notre Dame's been fantastic. They're going to have to come up with a way to prove against an Army team that's been really good there that they have what it takes. And again, I think with Riley Leonard running the football, that component with Jeremiah Love, Notre Dame has as good a chance as anyone does against Army.
I love it. Looking forward to this one going down in Yankee Stadium. Thank you both so much for the great preview. As always, check out the great work of Tim and company at Irish Illustrated for all things Notre Dame, and also head to 247sports.com for everything you need to know about college football. We have signing day, the transfer portal is opening soon, coaching carousel, all that. You can check it out on 247sports.com.